Hello and welcome to Season 2 of the Spirit Lounge podcast. With me, David.
And me, Glenda. And we are two psychic mediums from both sides of the pond.
Glenda is in Australia.
And David is in the UK.
And we're here to talk about, discuss and give our opinions on all things spiritual, including psychics and mediumship.
And if you've listened to the podcast before, you know how much we love to laugh while keeping it real, honest and down to earth.
As well as having those discussions, there'll also be guest interviews and maybe some other surprises.
So come with us now on our podcast journey and let's see what's happening in the Spirit Lounge for today's episode.
Well, hello listeners and welcome back to the Spirit Lounge. I'm here with Glenda as always. Hello Glenda, good morning or good evening.
Good evening and hello David, hello listeners. How are you today?
I'm all right. It's Monday, got a busy week ahead. So yeah, just powering myself up for the week, really. How about you?
Yeah, same. I've got a busy week. Busy next 2 weeks, and then I think, is it 2 weeks? I'm on holidays. You're on holidays too, aren't you?
Yeah, go away as well. Yeah. So yes, but a bit of a rest.
Oh, I can't wait. I feel like we need it. I'm feeling at that point where I need a break again. So I'm noticing my little, just going with the flow every 3 or 4 months, and then I take a little holiday. And I think that's good when you notice how you're balancing your energy and when not to overwork and not to over burn out, because it is so important with the work that we do not to burn out and not to get to that point, to
Yeah.
listen to your body, and a lot of us just keep, plowing through. We've got bills to pay, whatever else, but it is so important to listen to that. So I
Absolutely.
think that going, as we're chatting about that, I feel like we should have a bit of a chat about, what do you consider a good reading these days, David? I mean, I don't go and get readings anywhere else, so I can't tell you what other people are like reading. But from your opinion or what you kind of offer people, what do you consider good work? What do you consider your best work, or what do you consider is a good reading?
Oh, so yeah, it's something I often consider purely because we're doing the work. And so like you though, I've not had a reading from anybody for a long time. I mean, now and again, if I go to a demonstration and watch someone else, which is very rare as well, I might be given a reading. But I always find whenever I go to a demonstration, I very, very rarely get a reading. But I don't go for the purpose of getting a reading though, right? I like to go to demonstrations just to watch people, as I have done since I was a teenager. But I very rarely, even back then, when I was first started going, I didn't get messages, and I still don't really. But I do look at that and think, well, actually, it's because I'm all right, and there are other people in the audience who maybe are not, and maybe they need more of that, more of a connection than I do. So I don't tend to. So my opinion, this is just my opinion, all right? As we always say, this is just from our perspective, what we think. So and my perspective of it would probably be different if I wasn't doing the work. So if I was just someone going for readings, I would probably see it a lot different to how I would see it if I am actually a medium, right, doing the work. And so that's important to say here as well, I think, though, Glenda, because I think what we see, what we experience, people have so many different expectations of a reading and what they expect from a medium or a psychic. And so what I say here is just my perspective from doing the work and from what I see out there, especially on TikTok. Or I had the other day, I've had people message me or tell me what their experience was. And I'll go into that in a second. But for me, what makes a good reading, what I've come to learn is it's very subjective. It's different for everybody. Everyone's going to expect different bits of information, different bits of evidence, different messages. So I don't know if you can put one explanation on it, because people want different things from different readings, because of course we're all different. We have different beliefs and different thoughts of ideas of how the spirit world work, and if they work this way, I should get that bit of evidence. If they work that way, I should get that bit of evidence. And so it can depend, but on a basic level, what I feel a good reading is, or what can make a good reading, is firstly the connection that you have with the psychic or the medium that's doing the reading for you. The last thing I
Mhm.
would want to do is go and see a psychic or medium that sits there with a face like smacked ass, no personality, and it's just a boring droning on reading. That would be the worst thing in the world for me. So I want someone personally who has a bit of character about them. They've got a bit of spark in them. That's personally what I would like. But I feel just again in general that your psychic or medium needs to have a bit of character, a bit of personality, because the spirit world do not want robots down here. And I don't know, we're certainly not. We do it how we do it, and that's kind of it, really. So you want someone, a medium who or a psychic who again has that bit of personality, bit of character. And what else makes a good reading? Um, the the evidence that comes through,
Yeah.
the the what we say, the proof of or the evidence of survival, the evidence that comes through from spirit. So, I mean, that can be different things, and we can go into a whole different rabbit hole with all that with evidence with evidence, because again, evidence is subjective to each person. Some people really want a name, and other people are not bothered by name. Some people want their cause of death, other people don't want the cause of death. Some people want you to tell them the password or your PIN code, which we know is like that's very near impossible. But and some people are just not bothered by that at all. Some people want the character and personality. Some people are not bothered. They want other list of evidence. And so we can't really sit here and say this is exactly what makes good reading specifically, but all we can say is that the evidence needs to be enough that the person who you're reading for, whether it be in a private reading or in a demonstration, that they are left with no doubt that you've got their loved one.
Yeah.
Not loads, and not maybe this one, maybe that one. You've got that specific loved one, whether it be their mum or their dad or their sister, their cousin, whoever it might be. That the evidence is enough you've brought through to solidify that connection. But then also you need to give clear guidance or a message which spirit wish to give as well.
Mhm.
Some readings, again, it's subjective. Some readings it can be a real big important message. Other readings it can just be a simple "Hello, I'm here and I'm all right." So it's not always a life-changing message either, but ultimately it should still be positive. And then ultimately at the end, the overarching thing here really should be what makes good reading is that I work with the ethos of I want to leave a person feeling better than they did when they first walked in. No one should ever leave a reading feeling distressed or upset or scared or whatever. It should always be a healing process because that is the point of what we do. So that's on a basic level, my thoughts on what makes a good reading. What about yours?
Well, yeah, I think you've covered pretty much all of them. Just a couple of other things I'd like to add to that because I'm in agreement with everything that you've just said, and I don't want to kind of go over everything that you've said, but most definitely with the mediumship, you want the evidence of who that person is, and you want to feel that person
Oh,
through
absolutely.
whatever,
Yeah.
whatever is coming through. You want to know, like when that, and you can see it when the person is just like, um, and I'm not saying it on a negative way, but when they're crying, when they're upset, they're
Oh,
feeling
absolutely.
it.
Hmm.
And it's not, and it's kind of like, it's like tears of joy as well,
Yeah.
because, with, I can only go by what I've encountered. And when someone nails it with whatever has come through for evidence for myself, and I'm brought down to the tears, they've nailed it. They've got me right in that heart space, like, oh my God, yes, those
Yeah.
sort of things. I want to
Yeah.
feel it. I want to feel that message come through.
Hmm.
We're delivering it in our voice, but a lot of the time you hear from your clients go, they would have said that exactly the same way. Oh my God, they said that all the time, like those sort of things, those aha moments, those things where I'm big on asking spirit to prove, show me that you're around. I always say to them,
Mm.
we have these little conversations in our head with spirit while maintaining the link with the client in front of you. And I'm always saying, okay, show me some evidence that they're around, all those sort of things. And you say, would you understand this happened, or you understand this is going on, or you understand, yes, how did you know that? Well, this is the evidence that they're bringing forward. So they're showing you that they are around in your life every day,
Yeah.
that they are seeing. And my favorite one is they're validating your thoughts. When I bring up what you've been thinking about in the last couple of days, and your client goes, "Are you reading my mind? How did you know that?" I don't know that because spirit's bringing that forward because they're hearing your thoughts, they're feeling your thoughts, they know what's
Mm.
going on in your life. So when that comes through, that is just a massive, like, for me, when I hear that from a connection that I get, I'm just like, oh, my mum felt me in that moment. My mum knew I was
Yeah.
thinking about her. My mum knew I was going through shit that day and I was crying. So those sort of things, that's what makes a good reading for me. Um,
Yeah.
Also, like what's going in your present life right now. Yes, we can bring in things from the past. Absolutely, we do. We give you stuff for the future. Some people call it guidance. Some people say psychic. Some people say it's, we're giving oh God, I've gone blank.
Predictions.
Predictions, right? So, but to me, the most important thing is when I connect with a client, I'm validating how you're feeling right now in this moment, what you're going through. When when I went for a reading many, many, many years ago, and it was through one of my toughest times that I was going through, and that medium, psychic medium, she didn't give me anything really, but she validated how I felt in that moment, and that's what I needed.
Mm.
Sometimes people need to be validated on how they're feeling. They need to be seen, heard. They need that compassion, that reassurance, and that positive uplift in
Yeah.
that day because we're not guidance counselors. We're not any of that, but we do that. We do that
Mm.
because when you are connecting on a soul level, you are feeling what that person is going through. And I do that. I feel what you are going through. And it's about what's coming through to support them in the now, in this moment that they're going through this, showing them that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that it's not always going to be tough because we need that reminder. And maybe that person doesn't have someone in their life to remind them of that. And spirit does come through for those reasons,
Yeah.
to remind them that you're going to get through. It's okay, um, and that gentle encouragement. But I think the validation of the feelings and acknowledging what is happening in their life without them even saying a word, that is a good connection.
Yeah.
How did you know I'm going through that? Because your soul is telling me, your spirit is telling me, all of it. That is that good connection with a reader when they are on point. There is nothing worse than going and sitting with someone and you're going, nah, nah, can't take that, nah, nah, nah. There is nothing worse.
Yeah.
So that's what I think is very important, that you are connected with that person on a soul level
Mm.
and that you have in your heart the compassion to show that person what they need that day.
Yeah, and that's why I think we're talking about the being subjective because, as you said, though, there are certain people that need certain things in that moment, whereas
Right.
another person won't need the same thing. So therefore, you can't tar every reading with the same brush. Much we know, obviously, we try to make them as great as they can be, but they'll be great in their own rights for what that person needs, which is why it is then subjective. And then
Yeah.
something else you touched on there as well, which I forgot to mention, but you are completely right, is bringing the essence through of that spirit loved one. Because what I
Yeah.
always try and do in any reading I do, I want people to feel their loved one. I could stand there and list off, a tick list of evidence, tick, 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 tick. That there's no feeling behind that. That's just a tick list exercise of we must get this, must get that. But actually, I start my connections with the character, with the personality, because ultimately that's what people remember of their loved one. They remember
Yeah,
if their grandma was a miserable old cow, or or whether
exactly.
or whether grandpa was this silly, jovial kind of playful man. They know that
Yeah,
character. They know that character. And we both get feedback. I had feedback the other night. A woman came up to me after the service and said, I sat there and I shivered because I could feel my mum was there, stood next to me. And like, well,
yeah,
that's the point, that you felt
exactly.
her, that you knew that it wasn't just me just rambling at you, but you felt her in the room at that moment because that's what you needed to feel. But that's also how I like to work anyway. And talking about the crying thing, this is not to make light of it, but my other half will sometimes say to me when I come home from a dem, how many people did you make cry this evening?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not to take the piss out of people, but it is what you say, that sometimes when people do cry, you've hit the spot there, that something has resonated deep in their soul with what you've said. And
Yeah.
but to be clear to people that are just new starting out, the aim is to not make people cry. Just so
Yeah.
people don't get us twisted here. It's what we do is not about making people cry at all. Because sometimes I'll do DMs where not one person cries, but I don't walk away from that DM going, "Oh, I did a shitty job." No, I still know they got the evidence and they got what they needed. But again, everyone's different. Some people are emotional. Some people in that moment really needed to hear that message, and so when they
Yeah.
do, it then hits. So it's
Yeah.
not
We're
me.
not,
It's not.
we're not, we're not,
We're not
we're not sadists.
sadists. No, exactly. We're not out here trying to make people upset. But sometimes it can just be a product of what we do. And I always say
Yeah.
to people like, and I'm compassionate. And if I'm doing a one-to-one, even actually like the other night, I was doing a dem, and a woman she got quite upset, and I said,
Mm.
you can tell me to shut up at any time that you like. You can just say, David,
Yeah.
shut your gob, and I will shut my gob. She's like, no, no, it's fine, carry on, because she felt it. She needed to
Yeah.
hear from her dad that evening, and she did, and so yeah. So no, I completely agree with what you said. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think all those points are just very valid, like the job we do is important. The job
Hmm.
is got to do with people's feelings, people's emotions, people's grief, and it is so important to, maintain that ethical part of us, to come from that part of love and to help support people because I'm sure everyone that is listening right now has lost someone or is going through, something hard. So you need that compassion. Um, I
Absolutely.
had I had a reading. I did a reading with a medium once. I read for her, and at the end of it, she said to me, "Oh well, you're a lot different to me. I'm very blunt, in your face." And I said, that's all very well for you. I said, but I don't read like that. And would you have preferred me be gentle with you today? Because you obviously needed some healing, not for me to be up in your face. I'm not a coach. I'm not a coach. I'm not a life coach. I'm not going to be here to flog your ass when you've come for some healing. I might say
Yeah.
some things to pull you into line gently, give you that guidance on a gentle way, but I'm not here to throw anything in your face. That's the last thing I would think of doing to someone.
Well, just
And
that whole attitude
I
that people honestly.
can't do it. I can't. And
Oh,
it is, it just,
let's not get Glenda started here.
look, I'm not that bad. And honestly, I can't compare because, it's just social media that kind of does my head in. And I'm trying to be better with it.
Yeah,
I get off, but every now and then it just comes back up. And, it just, some of these things I just shake my head at and just walk away. I'm not commenting. But again, um, it comes down to is what do you want out of a reading? What do you really want? What do you need out of a reading? Be discerning on who you're going for a reading with. And if
yeah.
you're listening to this and you're not a medium, just have a think about that. Who do you want to
Mm,
go to? Do you want to go? Hey, I don't deny that I am a swearer on this podcast. I'm a swearer in life, but I'm very gentle when you come with me. and I'm in my
Absolutely.
professional way. And depending on who you are and how you are, and if I know you and your energy is good and I let a few swear words out, it flows even better. Do you know what I mean? There's a way to connect and a way not to connect with people.
And that's such a funny thing as well, because I find, because I like, I swear as well. I swear like a trooper.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but we're still professional when we do the work. Obviously, on a platform in a church, I'd never swear
Oh my
because
God,
it just,
absolutely.
please, I
You
wouldn't be
don't.
invited back. But it's so funny, even in churches though, that on a platform, and it's happened so many times where I've had an old lady come in who's got a bit of a mouth on her, and so I stand there and I say, oh, I can't use that word. And the amount of people in the audience who go, I'll go on say it, including the
Yeah.
chairperson in some centers that go, oh no, go on, you can say it. And I don't know whether it's because I don't know what it is, whether it's just it makes people laugh because I am
Mm,
very, but even that is evidence in itself by saying
it
something like
is.
that. The woman I'm going to knows that that's her grandma because her grandma swore like that. And so just
Mhm.
by me saying, oh, I can't really use the word she wants to give me, they know exactly who it is at that moment. But I get so funny. But even in one-to-ones, people say, go and just say, you can say anything you like to me. And, so I'm not sat there effing and blind and nothing like that at all. But, certain words that the spirit want me to say get me in trouble. It's so funny. But that's where, again, it comes down to being subjective. People would want that in a reading, some people wouldn't, and some people need that because then they know that's the
It's their
essence of their loved
person.
one coming. It's their person. If I said, oh, I've got your nan here and she was full of love and light and she was very, it's like, no,
No,
my nan had a mouth like a sewer. That's not her. So do you
exactly.
know what I mean?
Exactly.
So trying to pretend it's something it's not is not the right thing either. But again, as medium,
Exactly.
we've got to be discerning on what we can and can't say. So
Yeah, and I have not had one touch wood, one complaint to say, oh, I found you rude and I found you swearing when you should. Not one. They
no,
all laughed. All when I've dropped the F bomb, all of that. Like I've got your brother here. He's got a cigarette in one hand, a beer in the other, and he's cursing like a trooper. Yep, that's him. I'm not going to deny what he's saying or what he's bringing through.
no.
And they just go, yep, that's him. You can say whatever. And I'm like, are you right with me to bring through exactly the way he's speaking? Absolutely. And I do.
Yeah,
It's just the
absolutely.
way I do my readings.
Yeah, I give it again because we're the same. We don't need to sit there and say the swear words that he's using. All we need to say is he's using a few blue words. I can't really use them, and they know. I don't need to go into
Mm,
details of his saying this word, that word, that word. It's not needed in that case. But as long as you get the essence of that loved one across, that's the point, right? And
absolutely.
that
And I
makes a good
mean,
reading.
the people that come for a reading, how often do you see, oh yeah, you've got a coworker that's a bitch. I bet you have said that a few times. And oh yes, absolutely. What a fucking bitch she is. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it, I mean, how often people get on with everyone at work? They don't, but it
they
comes
don't.
through. It
Yeah,
comes through because your energy is telling me it's coming through. I'm not going to deny what your energy is saying about your coworker or the shit that your coworker is putting you through. I'm not going to dim that down because you know how bad it is. So, yeah, I think that is important. I think that all of
you
those things are validating. Yeah.
yeah, and you can be real without being an
Yeah.
asshole. And I
Absolutely.
think I always say this, and I said it in an upcoming interview we've got with Bex, is that what you said earlier on about that medium that said to you, I say it blunt and say it as it is. Yes, but there's a difference between saying it is and being honest and being an asshole. And there's a fine
Yeah.
line there. We can be honest. Look, people know on this podcast, we are honest and we are real and down to earth, but we're not assholes. We will call certain things out because they need to be called out, but we're not being assholes to people. Do you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I just hate this thing of the oh so solid crew. Oh so solid. That was a band, not a, what I'm talking about. No, the oh so honest, oh so solid crew. That goes back to the 90s, doesn't it? Shows me age. No, the oh so honest crew. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. No, you're being. I nearly said another word then. I need to dull myself down here. Um, no, you're not just being honest. You are being an asshole. You're not being a nice person. You're saying this because you're saying it. Some people say things in a hurtful way because they get a buzz out of it. They get a buzz out of seeing someone else's reaction to how they've given something across. And that's not what we want to do here. We can be honest and real in our readings, but they still need to be kind. They still need to be compassionate, not just blunt, blunt, here it is, here it is, here it is. That's cold to me. That's a cold
Yeah.
person. And
Robotic,
I would
robotic.
hate that
Yeah.
in a reading, just that cold, harsh sharpness. That's not what this work is about.
I feel exactly the same. And um, again, I'm going to say it, and I know we've said it in previous podcasts, is what you put out is the type of people you're going to attract for readings.
Mm, yeah.
So if you're putting out one negative thing after another, and you're just going on with this and that and this and all that um, lower vibrational stuff that I do see. I mean, hey, I'm not I'm not one that's going to say all love and light here, and I call out bullshit where it needs bullshit, but
Mm,
it's also not constantly posting that sort of stuff because that's what you're going to attract. You're
yeah.
going to attract that. So what kind of clientele do you want at the end of the day? I've got the
Absolutely.
most amazing clients. I love the people that I connect with. It's just, I've worked really hard to get that. So again, if you're starting off, just think about what kind of people you want, excuse me, to invite in.
Absolutely.
Invite it's into your energy as well. It's in your auric field, it's in your energy. There's a connection there. You're connecting with that person. Your energy is touching their energy. So at the end of the day, do you just want to be dishing out those readings to any Tom, Dick, and Harry that does have no value in it, that just wants this, this, and this? Oh, and that's the other thing. I think it's important as well to explain how you work, David.
No, I agree. I agree. I always, before I start any read, whether it be a one-to-one or a platform,
Yeah.
I always start. That's my thing to get, not to get me
Hmm.
an energy, but I like people to understand where I'm coming from. Because sometimes, like if I'm on a platform, as mediums, we work differently, and some people in the
Exactly.
audience might be expecting me to go direct, and I don't work that
Yeah,
way. So I explain
exactly.
I don't go direct, and I tell them why I don't go direct as well.
Yeah.
So people understand my process because I need the audience to work with me, not against me. And so if they're going to sit there with arms folded, faces like a smacked ass, then that's not conducive to a great evening. And I will say to them, you need to speak to me. If you don't understand what I'm saying, put your hand in the air, up in the air, not down by your side where I think you're not sure. Put your hand in the air. If I work with you, speak to me. Let me hear your voice. I do. I always say, as I said last night, in fact, I don't do the nodding dog syndrome, where you sit there
No,
silent, just nodding your head. No, that's a flat energy. I think
absolutely. But we get
people
a
don't.
lot from that voice. That
Oh,
voice, the voice
absolutely.
has vibration in it. It
Yeah,
gives, as soon as you hear that voice, yes, no, maybe, you get something else
yeah,
straight away.
absolutely. And I will say to the audience, you can never underestimate the important role which an audience member plays in that demonstration. But same with a sitter. If you're doing a one-to-one reading, they are also bringing their energy. This is not about.
That's
I always say
right.
this is not about us. This is about
No,
all. This is about us, the
three
client,
of us.
and spirit. Is a three-way
Hmm.
conversation, and those three things, like if I was having a conversation with you and Bill, all three of us need to speak in order for that conversation to happen, right?
That's right.
So if one of us is not speaking, that throws an energy off because you don't think, why is that person not speaking? Are they feeling all right? And so it's the same thing that all three need to work
Mm.
together to make for a good reading. I mean, yes, we can do it without the person speaking to us, but that's very bloody hard. You
It is.
know,
Why
Uh,
should we do all the
why
work?
should
I
we do all the
prefer not
work?
to.
No,
And I say
absolutely.
that straight up. If you're going to sit there with your arms crossed like what do you say, David, with a duck with
Arms
smacked
folded,
duck?
face like a smacked ass.
Yeah, you smacked ass that. I just pull the reading straight up. You're not working with me. You've put up blocks. You don't At the end of the day, you've paid for this. I want the best reading, the most conducive reading that you're going to get. Let's work together to make that happen. Instead of you sitting there, me having to prove myself to you. If I have to prove myself to you, I won't do the reading. I'll pull it. It's not about the money for me.
No,
It's not about that for
absolutely.
me.
No, and that's the thing that makes another thing that makes a good reading is the client or the recipient, let's say, whoever they
Exactly.
are involved. They make if they're going to sit there not give you anything, then it's not going to be a good reading.
It's not going to
You're
work.
going to have a shit reading, and that's just how it is because you're as you say putting blocks up, or you're not being open to it, and to have this experience, you need to be open and let us in, let spirit in, because you are their person. We are not spirit. Don't know us. We're a
Hmm.
stranger. We're a stranger to them. So why would they open up to us if their loved one that's come for reading is not open to us? It's just not going to
Exactly.
work. So you need to be people need to be open to and touch words. Most of the clients that I do have, they are very open. Otherwise, they wouldn't come and
Yeah.
see me, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, an audience is a bit different because you'll always have someone that's been dragged along by the partner, thinking, "Why the hell am I here?"
Mm.
That's a bit different, but it's
And
just
again,
about
it
being open to it. So the best reading, if you want a chance of having a good, great reading, you've got to come open-minded to it.
exactly, and work with the medium, work with the psychic, work with them. Just don't sit there
Mm.
saying, "Yep, no, 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 not getting it." Well, okay, let's unfold this a little bit more. Like as a good reader, and if you've been doing this for a while, you should be able to work that out. You should be able to get that person to relax a little bit. If that notice when they're nervous, I say to the client straight away when
Yeah,
they come, I just go, "You're really nervous. I can feel it." "Really? Can you?" "I am so nervous." I'm like, "It's okay. We're just going to be like two friends
yeah,
having a conversation, having a cuppa and a conversation. That's all it is. Just relax, just breathe. And if that means you have to spend 2 minutes just sitting there getting the person to just take a few deep breaths, just relax.
yeah,
Think of a place that, think of who do you want to come through just to get them to just relax a little bit and let you in. It happens. Take that moment if you need to, if you need to get that person to relax, because otherwise they're so nervous, their walls up, or they're in that heavy grief. That's another one. When they're in the heaviest of grief, is it really conducive to have that reading today?
yeah.
Is it? That's another conversation, Dave, because we're talking about what makes a good reading. If you've just lost someone, do you think it's conducive for you to have a reading that week of their passing?
No,
Because there's multiple answers here. Some people
there
yes, some
is.
people no.
Well, from my experience, I turned away one lady because she had lost her husband a week before she sent me the message to book in, and I said, to be honest, my darling, I said, I don't feel, and I felt it. I don't feel it's the right time. And look, you could say, well, who are you to tell me when I can have a can't have reading? Um, well, nobody, but I, as a person who is compassionate and who understands grief, as most of us do, I could easily say, "Oh yeah, of course I will take your money and just do a reading for you."
Yes.
But that's not how I operate as a person.
Yeah.
So if I felt like it wasn't the right time, then I will say, I don't feel it's the right time for you. I don't feel I'm comfortable doing it for you because of X, Y, Z, the emotions, whatever.
Mm.
If they choose to go to another medium takes their money, that's up to them. But I feel from what I even like the other night, when I did a reading for a lady whose dad passed, a while ago, she still felt it as if it was yesterday. So if you
Mm.
can imagine someone who's lost a
Yeah.
dad or their husband a week before, how that's going to happen. Because I think we also have to remember is, look, it's an emotional experience, and come back to what you said about relaxing people.
Yeah.
Some people come and they are scared, they are nervous, and so for them to have the best experience, we need to try and calm them down just a little bit. But also, it's very emotional, and sometimes what can happen is if someone comes for a reading too soon, it could be more detrimental than actually helping them because they
Exactly.
then see that someone else can connect to their dad and they can't. And that can
Hmm.
make some people angry. Why is it that you can
Yeah.
connect to my dad and I can't, or my husband, or whoever it might be? Um, and so it can actually set people back on their grief journey and not forward.
And then and I've seen people go from one medium to another, to another, to another, to another, and not do the healing. And that's what is a
Absolutely.
worry.
Yeah.
It's like they're addicted to going to mediums.
Yeah.
And I do believe I have turned multiple people away because
Hmm.
they need to do the healing.
Absolutely. I've done the
You
same
need
thing.
to do the look. I know what it feels like when someone passes and you just want a message, you just want a sign, you just want all of this right now, today.
Yeah.
You just want to know that they're safe.
Mm.
But I do believe that we just have to trust in that process.
Yeah.
We know our way home. Your loved ones are not stuck in limbo. For God's sake, people need to stop saying this. They know their way home. They
Yeah.
know. And I have been in the room when our loved ones have come and collected my papa, my mum. I have been in the room. I even noticed when my mum came to take Dexter, my dog.
Mhm.
It was so strong. Like it, they know our loved ones come. We don't have to do anything. We don't need to make sure they're not stuck in limbo because we're all going home.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely
And
agree.
that's don't don't book a reading just to make sure that they got there safe. They
Yeah.
have.
They have. Yeah.
Trust that they have.
Yeah.
But do the healing. Allow yourself the time to process those emotions. Those emotions are, you're going to go through all of it. The upset, the wanting to blame someone, the being angry, that all of those emotions are going to come up for you. Take the
Yeah.
time to process all of that. You've got to go through the funeral. It feels like it's one thing after another of just getting the whole thing over and done with sometimes can just take weeks to get through. And the last thing
Yeah.
you want to do is be booking a reading.
Yeah. Do you know, the funny thing is, saying that was just dropped in my head, is there have been times though where I've read for someone, um, and I brought someone through, and they only passed to it, they'd not been buried yet or been laid to rest.
Yeah, same. Me too.
They didn't tell me that at the time. They just booked a reading. I don't have any
Yeah.
conversation with them beforehand. They just book it online and it's all done. So they don't tell me anything, of course. I just they bring them through and yeah, it passed a week ago, not been buried yet. But
Yeah.
in those cases, I don't know what it is, but in those cases, they're the person's actually all right.
Yes.
They can get emotional, of course they can. But for those, I don't know what the difference is though, but for those people, it seems to be healing for them.
Yeah, because
I
they've
don't, yeah,
grieved already. See, with like
yeah, oh
me,
yes,
I was on
yeah,
that grieving process beforehand. And it's been
yeah.
a long journey of already saying goodbye, you know what I mean?
I know what you
So
see me.
that's where some people are at that stage where it's kind of like relief because they've suffered for so long and they've
Yeah.
already done some of that healing. So that's why I'm saying there's a bit of yes and no for who can come for a reading. So
So what's dropped in my head
there's
is that some people are a bit more reactive. So as soon as someone
yeah,
passes, the reaction is I must do something about it. But other people
yeah,
are more um they're not reactive. They're as you say, they've gone through a
processed.
process of okay,
Yes,
I know my person's going to leave.
that's
So I
right.
guess one of the differences is that it makes sense then because a lot of them that have said to me, my husband died a week ago, can I have a reading? They've tend to have passed in a bit of a short span of time, or it's a shock or whatever, where other people it's not been such, if that makes sense what we're saying. So no, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was like it for me, but it was still emotional.
Of
Um,
course.
because of the long process, the long drawn out process. And, it's just about where you're at, where you're at as a person, what's happened, how it has unfolded, all of those sort of things. So, yeah, again, it depends on the situation, the circumstance, the medium, and the person.
Yeah, that's why ultimately it's all subjective, isn't it? All
That's right.
subjective.
Yeah.
Okay. So on the opposite of that then, Glenda.
What now, David?
Let's try not to rant and rave in this part of the episode. So what makes a that bad reading, and I was hesitant to say that
Oh,
because when
had to go there.
we interviewed Paul Bannister, didn't we? And he was saying there's no such thing as good or bad mediums. And I'm like, no, there are.
There
There
are.
are, because I think, well, are what things people say, and I've got some examples to share here. Now, do you want to go first, Glenda? Do you want to, your opinion on it? What makes a bad reading, or what shall I go
Oh,
for? What do you want to do?
oh, you go first. You go
Is
first.
Are you sure? Um,
Yeah.
well, I'm bringing this up because I've had three examples of, in my opinion, what makes a bad reading, well, or a negative reading, whatever term you want to put on it. But I
Mm.
mean, if I look ultimately, a bad reading for me is whenever a reading leaves a recipient, a client, feeling distressed, feeling worried, feeling anxious, feeling sad. Those emotions plus more are not how someone should leave a reading feeling. So any of those things. What else makes a bad reading? But before giving these examples, just anything that's given to you that's negative. If anything that's given to you which it feels like it's purposefully negative or makes you feel like you're not good enough, or that you leave like questioning yourself, why did I do this, why did that not, any of those things, to me, that's not what makes a good reading. We've already described what a good reading is, but those
Again,
things you should, you
again,
should,
yeah, just to butt in there, dependent
mm.
instead of empowered. So when they
Oh
need,
yeah,
when they, you know what I mean? So, like you said, that's a negative. It falls into that negative. So if you now feel like you've not got what you need, so you need to go book another reading.
yeah, that's true. But saying that though, that could also be of the client that's not um that's dependent on having a reading, because I know of a person, slightly older person, who spent, I think they had 8 grand in savings and spent that entire 8 grand on
Oh,
readings within a 4 month period because they
oh
were
my
so
gosh.
dependent on getting psychic readings. Um, that's a whole other story. So that can be a factor there as well. But I mean, ultimately, the reading you get should not, I want to say last you, because you can't put a timeline on it, but it should last you for at least 6 months or a year, because you've got what you needed from that psychical medium. But anyhow, coming back to some examples here, and these are recent ones, these are real life ones, and I'm showing Glenn's on my phone on the screen. I've got messages here that I was sent just to prove that I'm not making this up, because these things that are said, you might listen to this and go, no, no, surely no one said that to a person. No, they did. So, three examples here. So, I did a reading a couple months ago with a young lady. She was nervous. The first thing she said to me was, "Please don't tell me I'm going to die soon." And I was like, "What?" And she went, "Yeah." She said, "The last reading I had with the psychic, I was 17. So this is a long time ago. She's 30 odd now." And the psychic said to her, or the medium, "You've got about another good 5 or 10 years left in you."
Yeah,
She was 17 years of age when she was told that.
yeah.
She's still here. Do we think that's a good reading? No.
Uh-uh.
The next thing, I did a TikTok video where I was describing, some of the negative things that could be said to people. And another medium had messaged me to say she also went to another medium who told her that eventually she'll end up taking her own life. And I mean, when people say there's no such thing as a good or bad medium, yes, there fucking are, because I'll give you examples of them. And this last one is a recent one. Lady sent to me the other day, actually. She sadly, I mean, I when I did Facebook Lives, she watched all my Facebook Lives, and bless her, her son had passed at quite a young age, and she's just been left distraught. And she messaged me to say, David, you've done a reading for me and brought my son through, but I just had a medium tell me that my son was on a very low vibration and can't talk to me.
Yeah.
And she followed up
Okay.
with another message which said, um, he was telling me some really real bad shit about my son. and I wish you could have heard it because it was that horrendous. So it might be obvious to say that that is a bad reading, but people, these are examples, real life examples of what is being said out there. And that's why me and Glenda are so passionate about doing this podcast and talking about these things in a real way. Because if people are not talking about what's going on, these things keep being swept under the carpet and not held to account. Now, in all the situations, I don't know who these psychics and mediums were because they weren't divulged to me. And you know what? I don't really want to know who they are, to be perfectly honest. Um, but that's what is being said.
Yeah.
And look, there's not much me and Glenda can do to stop it. All we can do is bring awareness to people that, be discerning who you go to. And I'm sure that some of these mediums here have got hundreds of thousands followers, but they're still
Oh, yeah.
saying shit like this. And doesn't that just go to prove that just because you've got loads of followers, that does not mean you are a decent and ethical psychic or medium? Because you're saying
Mm.
this shit. It makes me wonder about the mind of that medium. It tells me actually everything I need to know about them. That if they're saying this kind of thing to people, that actually shows me there's a bit of a deviant mind that they've got if they believe that saying that is the right thing. And we were talking earlier before we came on, Glenn, before we press record, is that we don't say things on this podcast to call people out necessarily, or sometimes we do. Um, Not personally, but just to bring awareness. And there might be mediums that listen to this podcast who do these things that we're talking about, and might be offended. But you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
Because the only people that should be offended by what we say are those exact same people who are
That are
doing the
doing it.
things that we're talking about. Anyone else won't give a shit.
No, if you're triggered, there's something
If
there.
they're triggered, there's something there for you to think about. Because saying these things that I've just described is not on.
No.
Is not on. And
Yeah.
so, when people might disagree with me and said, no, there's no such thing as bad mediums. Well, listen to this and tell me that there isn't,
Yeah.
because that is shocking behavior.
It is. Yeah. There is no standards there. There is no nothing that would even interest me in getting a reading from someone like that. But I've got a few more things to add to your little list there, David. So just going to go back to that that comment I said about the more dependent instead of empowered. To me, that is, I've had clients that want to book in every couple of weeks, and I will pull you up. And I do say, I will not read for you anymore. You need to go and get counseling. If you are booking readings every couple of weeks, you need to go and get some professional help because there
I
is
would agree
something
with
there you
that.
need to work through. I'm sorry,
Mm.
but I am not the person for you. If you're not doing the work and you're just wanting to skip over everything to see what the next prediction is going to bring, you need to go and see somebody to work through some of that unresolved issues you've got going on, or you need a healing. And we are not coaches. Again, I am not a life coach. I'm going to keep saying that. And I will not do a reading if that continues. I will say, why have you booked? And I have
Well,
said it.
well, John Edwards says that, doesn't he? He says if you need a reading to tell you that your mother loves you, you don't need me. You need a counsellor.
You need a counsellor. And I say it to people,
Mm.
I don't think that booking readings all the time is going to help you. You need some grief counselling. You need to work through this.
It's not
And
healthy. It's not.
it's not.
It's because
It's
yeah,
not
then
healthy.
you are dependent on spirit or someone else telling you how to live your life, and that isn't life. I'm afraid. We've
It's
all got our
not.
own life paths to live. We can't live our life with someone else telling us what to do. Spirit will, if any good medium will tell you that spirit are never going to tell you what to do. They're never going to
That's
tell you
right.
what decisions to make because they've lived their life. They've lived their physical life. This is your life. This is your time to make the best of it. It's your time to live. It's your time to make certain decisions to make your life as best it can be. That's not someone else to tell you how to do that. And spirit
Yeah.
won't be doing that. So any medium that says spirit telling you to do this, no, it's not. That's their own logical mind getting in the way, and giving you an opinion, and rather than it being spiritual advice, because spirit will never tell you what to do.
Absolutely. And the other one, I think, not I think, I know for a fact, any medium that tells you that you are cursed, that you are blocked, and that you've got this dark energy around you,
Oh yeah, I forgot about them. Yeah, yeah.
that one there, that's like big red, doop, doop, run as fast as you can.
Run the other
Uh,
direction.
that's right. And a medium that tells you that you cannot connect with your loved one. That these are the things that I've been told in my readings. A medium told me I can't connect with my loved one. They've sat on my shoulder and said, "No, this isn't for you." Really?
What?
Yes, this is the things I'm hearing. Your husband is going to die. Good friends
Oh
of
my
mine have been told
God.
that one. Good friends of mine around here have been told by that by other mediums. Another one, you're going to have a car accident, and you're going to get cancer, those sort of things. And to hear things that you're not ready for, that is not a good medium or psychic medium. Someone that dismisses how you feel and doesn't honor free will. Going to end with that one. You should honor free will. Anything that comes through in guidance, in psychic work, you have the choice to change that outcome. That's where
Absolutely.
your free will is. So
Yeah.
anything that is told to you, you get to change that. And guess what? We're seeing the here, the now, you get to change that. You walk out that door, you end that reading, you get to change that way that reading is going to play out because you
Yeah.
have free will.
Yeah.
So anyone that tells you that you don't have free will or doesn't honor free will, that's a bad reading.
Absolutely. That's no spirit of free will. We've got free will,
I've got
and
free will.
and as you say, that there are choices to make. That's what will make or break any decision that we choose to take. Which is why I personally don't give predictions. Well, not purposefully anyway, because we have free will to change it. But I always say if that prediction then happens, that's because it was meant to happen. That's how I see it. But free will can change our lives at any particular point, you know. So yeah, you definitely have to honor that. As I say, spirit will never tell us what to do or what the outcomes will be. That's up to us to make that happen. That's why, come back to
Yeah.
the whole manifesting thing. It's up to us to make things happen, to put the work in, to put the effort in, to make or break our life or certain decisions. Some things will happen, some things won't. But that's up to us to at least give it a try to
Yeah.
make things happen. Do you know what I mean? So yeah,
Right.
so I no, I absolutely agree with you there. Yeah, and this whole curses that we're going to
Oh,
a whole down a
oh,
whole rabbit hole with all these things. But people,
does
if
my
someone,
head in.
I know, it's like if anyone ever tells you people that you're cursed, run the other way, please, because because that then suggests to me that someone else has power over you.
You've
That
given your
some
power away.
Yeah, or that someone else has um power over your energy, that they can
Yeah.
just chuck something into your auric field and give you
You
no.
believe in it, you let that happen.
But that's the thing, that's where the whole
Free will.
and free will
Fear.
and the whole fear mongering thing comes in, because if people believe that they're cursed, then they're going to believe that they're cursed. If they've got
Absolutely.
if they're living fearfully, and someone says to you, if someone's having a bit of a bad time, for example, just in life in general, it happens. People, we have some really shitty situations. If you're going through that, and someone says to you that it's because you're cursed, then they've planted a seed in your head, and you are going to feel like you're cursed, and you believe it. There's no curse. It's just sometimes we go through shitty times in life,
Yeah.
and so
Change the
really,
energy.
but
Change the
again,
energy around it. Don't go into that negative vibration and that negative mindset. What you give energy to, you create.
yeah. So yeah, again, that's where the free will comes. You've got free will to either give in to that and believe that you're cursed, or actually have the free will to decide that no, I'm not cursed. I'm going through a shitty time, but I can change it and I will come out the other end of it. But please don't let these people, whoever they are, you can call them scammers or just horrible people, don't give in to them, because it's for them, it's a money making scheme. But again, it comes
Yeah.
back to what I said about if these people are telling you that you're cursed, it's for me, these people have got deviant minds. If that's how they
Something low
if that
there.
if that's how they operate as a person, that tells you everything you need to know about them. So please don't feed into any of that, people, honestly.
Yeah,
But there you
exactly.
go. But I think that's
Yeah.
a nice way to end it. I say a nice way to end it on curses. uh, but what I meant, and
I
I think it's
won't,
all. Go on.
I was going to say, I won't curse you, but if you send me $200, I'll send you some feet photos.
That sounds like a fair swap.
Oh,
But I think that's not that's a good place to leave it. I think we've said all we need to say for this particular
yeah,
moment. Um,
absolutely.
but Glenda, it's been a pleasure as always.
Always, always.
And yeah, I know we've got a nice this. I think we're recording this in February, but this episode actually won't be out until March, and so by that point, I think we might both be on holiday. So we'll catch up at some point after that. But yeah, but people, what we have got coming up though, we'll mention it now before I go. It just
Yeah.
reminded me, we have got on the when is it?
Mhm.
The 20 I think the 29th of March, which is a Sunday. It'll be a morning for the UK and evening for those of you in Australia. We have got an exclusive Q&A session with Bex Medium or Medium Bex. So if you would like to, it's going to be recorded through Zoom for the podcast episode, but it's going to be a live episode. So we are going to go live that morning or that evening, depending on where you are. And Bex will be here to answer your questions. And obviously, we can chuck our own thoughts in as well. So if you'd like to be part of that Q&A live on the Zoom, but you can live stream it as well through Facebook, but you just won't be seen, then do email me, which is davidhmedium@outlook.com, and I'll send you the exclusive link to the Zoom. So you can then join us on screen. With us and Bex will answer your questions live. And for those of you that don't want to be on screen, you can just live stream it through my Facebook page. You can ask your questions through the comment section. But if you'd actually like to be here in the flesh with us, so to speak, on the screen, then please let me know. Because I won't publish the Zoom link live because there are people out there who are accessing people's lives and putting some things on the screen which actually you don't want to see, and so therefore just to protect everybody and
Maybe
keep
some will.
maybe some will, but to keep people safe and
Yeah.
whatever, we won't
But it'd
publish
be
it
so
live.
great. It'd be great to meet, everyone, who listens, other mediums that listen. We've connected with
Yeah,
other mediums through social media because they've been listening to Spirit Lounge and they've been commenting and love Spirit Lounge. So how good would it to be on the Zoom with us so we can meet you in the flesh?
absolutely, yeah. So get involved, people. It'd be nice to see you, and then you can answer your questions live and in the flesh. And then if you want to leave the live after you've asked a question, that's absolutely fine. But
Yeah,
it'd be nice to see some of you there. Right,
absolutely.
my darling,
Okay.
it's been a pleasure,
Yes.
and I shall speak to you again soon. And listeners, thank you as always for joining us in the Spirit Lounge, and we'll see you again at some time soon. Thank you for joining us in the Spirit Lounge for today's episode. We hope you enjoyed what you heard. And if you did, please like and share the podcast. And if you can, please leave us a comment or review, as it really helps us out.
And if you want to hear us talk about a particular topic or have a question you'd like our viewpoint on, then email them to us on either davidhmedium@outlook.com or glenda-marie1@hotmail.com, and we'll get to them as soon as possible.
Lastly, if you'd like to connect with us individually and book our services, you can check out our websites. Glenda's website is www.glendamariePsychicMedium.com.
And you can find David at www.davidhmedium.co.uk.
For now, it's bye from me.
And it's bye from me.
Join us again soon in the Spirit Lounge.